We've already taken a look at the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, so now we'll be turning our attention to the Nintendo Wii. The Wii is definitely the most unique console of the three. You could even call it revolutionary. Nintendo certainly did. In fact, they called it the revolution when they first announced it. It's referenced on the actual hardware and accessories too, so if you take a look at the model numbers, they start with the letters RVL. In North America, the Wii came out 2 days after the PS3 and almost a full year after the Xbox 360. As I'm sure everyone knows, the big deal with the Wii were the motion controls. But compared to its rivals, it didn't have HD graphics, and it was underpowered, so lots of games requiring a bit more horsepower never ended up on the system. And due to the motion controls, there was a ton of shovelware that was made for the thing. That didn't stop the Wii from winning in terms of sales success though. The system has a large amount of awesome games. There are the obvious first-party titles like Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, 2 Zelda games, Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, Super Mario Kart Wii, Super Paper Mario, and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I would also include Wii Sports on that list as well. No game did a better job showcasing the console's abilities. There are great and notable third-party games too, like No More Heroes, Okami, Harvest Moon, and my favorite, Muramasa. The first video I ever made for this channel was a review of Muramasa, and I'm actually still pretty proud of that one. If that's not enough, you can also play GameCube games, like the proper version of Twilight Princess for example. There are some Wiis, however, that can't play GameCube games because they're missing the controller ports and memory card slots, but more on that later. One of the interesting things about the Nintendo Wii is that it has a multitude of controller options. The main controller is the Wii Remote, which can be used in portrait as well as landscape mode depending on the game. It has various doodads inside that recognize gestures, and with the aid of the sensor bar, which actually isn't a sensor bar but just a set of IR LEDs, it also knows where on the screen you're pointing it. The button layout is very non-traditional, but I never found it difficult to get used to. Later, Nintendo came out with the Wii Motion Plus add-on that captured motion more accurately. Thankfully, that was later integrated into the actual controller itself. Depending on the game or your preference, you could also get the option of using the Nunchuck Controller, which just plugs into the bottom of the Wiimote. It adds an analog stick as well as a C and Z button. Games that don't make use of any motion controls often work with one of the 2 classic controllers that Nintendo made available for a more traditional experience. They also work well with all the old games you can get from the Virtual Console. There are 3 hardware revisions to take note of. The first Wii looks like this and features a slot-loading disk drive, SD card slot on the front, and USB ports on the back. It even comes with standard Wi-Fi. It can be orientated laying down or standing up, and the top panels reveal all the GameCube necessities. In 2011, the Wii lost its GameCube bits and therefore backwards compatibility. I bought this one back in the day not knowing it couldn't play GameCube games, so I got an original one later on. Then in late 2012, the system was completely redesigned into the Wii Mini, which looks really cool but lost a bunch of features at the same time. No networking of any kind, no SD card slot, and no component video out. Plus, unlike the previous models, it can't be soft modded either. It was cheap though. I bought one because it was almost the same price as a Nunchuck and Wii Remote, but you get a whole console with it too. I talked about this thing a few months back, so check out that video if you want to see more. Another thing I find kind of interesting is the amount of accessories you could get for the Wii. The Wii Fit board, the zapper, different steering wheels, not to mention a bunch of really terrible and gimmicky things you could clip the Wiimote into. I think as the Nintendo Wii becomes older and eventually reaches retro status, it will become a really popular console to collect for, just because of all of the weird things you could get for it. If NES collectors talk about terrible unlicensed games today, I'm sure we'll have people going through Wii shovelware with bemusement in a decade or two. And that is the Nintendo Wii. The Wii has many things that can be poked at, whether it's the name, its lack of power, or the fact that people kept sending their Wiimotes through the TV, or in my case a ceiling fan. In the end, the Wii is the most unusual console of its generation. While other consoles usually end up being evolutionary, Nintendo's consoles are usually very different from each other. And another good thing is that Wiis are cheap, and thankfully very easy to mod, so it's super easy to try out various games and things like that. I hope you enjoyed this video as well as the 7th Gen series. If you want to help out a little, you can check out my Patreon page. All the money goes towards the upkeep of this channel. Hopefully down the line I'll think of some better rewards too. I post updates on Twitter, so you can follow me there to see what I'm up to. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.